Fruit jellies are all about bringing out the best flavors in fruits, and you get a tasty treat. It's a win-win. The possibilities are endless too. From oranges and mangoes to berries and apples, fruit jellies are elite. And what sets these treats apart? A texture that's firm, clear, and just right, not syrupy, sticky, or gummy. So how exactly does that perfect glossy jelly texture come about? It's a tricky process. Making jelly means boiling down quality fruit juice until it reaches a state that turns into a gel when cooled. It's all about finding the right balance of ingredients, especially the pectin, acid, and sugar levels. So in today's video, let's talk all about how fruit jellies are made in factories. Getting the right balance is important. And for that, we need pectin. But what is pectin? It's found in fruits as calcium pectate and gives fruits some firmness. And when combined with sugar and acid under the right conditions, pectin forms a gel. But not just any fruit will do. Both underripe and overripe fruit lack the right balance of pectin, making them less ideal for jelly. For a good jelly texture, the pH and sugar levels have to be carefully controlled. A few tests help keep things on track, especially the alcohol test or gel meter test. It can help figure out how much sugar is needed for one part of fruit juice. Acid is also important. Too much can cause the jelly to lose its structure, so the level's kept at a minimum of 0.5% but not higher than 1%. It's all very technical. And sugar plays two roles here. It adds sweetness and helps give body to the jelly, but you need to be careful. Adding too much sugar can lead to dehydration. We don't want that, it'll make the jelly too stiff. And if you add too little sugar, it'll turn watery. It's a delicate balance. So to know when to stop boiling, you can use methods like the sheet test or drop test. These checks help make sure your jelly sets just right. Jelly production can be divided into two main processes, the batch process and the continuous process. Each method has its own steps and equipment. Let's take a look at how each process works. In the batch process, a measured amount of water, fruit juice, or fruit pulp is poured into a vessel. Then the mixture is stirred. To keep everything mixed and prevent separation, especially when using pectin and sugar, you need to stir continuously. We start by heating the mixture until it reaches the right boiling point. Then we add the pectin. Keep boiling until we see the perfect level of soluble solids. That's what gives your jelly its ideal set. Once these solids are reached, the mixture is cooled down to around 80 degrees Celsius. At this point, flavors and colors are added. This gives the jelly its signature taste and appearance before it cools completely. Now, let's talk about the continuous process. Here, production's designed to keep things moving smoothly on a large scale. Instead of pectin powder, a pectin solution is used. This solution is mixed with sugar, sugar syrup, water, and fruit juice or pulp, and then heated to dissolve the ingredients evenly. All of this takes place in a vacuum station. This helps keep the mixture stable. It basically reduces the risk of unwanted air bubbles forming in the final product. The continuous process allows for a more streamlined and efficient way to produce jelly, especially when you're making a big amount. The choice of materials used in jelly making utensils can impact both the color and taste of the final product. Certain metals react with fruit juices in ways that you definitely don't want. For example, iron and steel can darken juices. This is because even a small amount of iron can react with tannins. And who wants a black or dark brown colored juice? Copper and tin are also not ideal. Small amounts of their salts can ruin the flavor and color of the juice. Plus, copper speeds up chemical changes in the juice, so zinc-coated containers are a hard no. They can release toxic levels of zinc into the juice. The best choice? Stainless steel. It stands up well against the acids in fruit juice, making it a reliable option for jelly making. The quality of jelly starts with the quality of the fruit. For the best results, the fruit should be fresh, firm, and have a tart flavor. Overripe, moldy, or fermented fruit can affect the jelly's taste, so it's essential to use clean, sound fruit that's been stored in clean containers, free of mold or soil. The flavor, sweetness, and pectin levels are the key factors in jelly making. It all depends on how ripe the fruit is. This is why picking fruit at the right stage of ripeness is so important. After picking, the fruit's sorted to remove any that are damaged or infested. Dust and residue are common on fruit after harvesting, so rinsing the fruit properly before crushing is a must. Freshly pressed juice is at its best for jelly making. Processing, clarifying, or preserving the juice too much can affect its flavor, color, and quality. Because of this, traditional jelly making methods aren't always the best for keeping that fresh fruit taste, even if they're effective. In the traditional method, most fruits are boiled to release their juice. For very juicy fruits like berries, there's no need to add water. These can be crushed and brought to a boil for just a few minutes. Less time in the pot generally means better flavor. But for firmer fruits like apples, a bit of water and a longer cooking time are needed. Plus, apples are typically cut or crushed. Then, they're boiled for about 20 minutes to soften them enough for juicing. The goal is to cook just enough to release the juice without making the fruit mushy, especially since overcooking can make the juice cloudy. So, not only would you lose flavor, but it would break down too much pectin. Traditionally, jelly making at home didn't involve pressing the fruit. Instead, the heated pulp and juice were placed in a cloth jelly bag and allowed to drain naturally. This would give a clear juice, but in commercial jelly production, rack and cloth presses are often used to extract juice from the hot fruit. Once the juice is pressed, it's clarified and filtered before adding sugar. With the right equipment, juice with better flavor and clarity can be achieved. The method used depends on the fruit's structure and how the juice is distributed within it. For fruits like grapes and apples, it's fairly easy to extract by crushing and pressing. One thing to watch out for is exposure to air. When juices are extracted without heat, enzymes remain active. This can lead to a rapid loss of vitamin C and changes in flavor. Now, let's talk about heat. Juice extraction can be done with or without it. Lower temperatures help inactivate enzymes and make it easier to extract juice and color from the fruit. But hot extracted juice can have a slight cooked flavor compared to cold-pressed juice. Surprisingly, this tends to taste fresher. Both methods can yield excellent juice for jelly, so the choice depends on the desired flavor and quality. For red grapes, heating after stemming and crushing brings out color and makes juice extraction easier. Typically, grapes are heated to about 145 degrees to 160 degrees Fahrenheit for 5 minutes. But higher temperatures can pull off tannins from seeds and skins. This would give it a harsh taste, which no one wants. Then there's apple juice. When apples are pressed without heating, a bit of ascorbic acid or vitamin C is sprayed onto them. This cold-pressed juice keeps much of the apple's natural flavor and color. And who doesn't love their berries? Fully mature berries with high sugar and color content can ferment easily, so they need careful handling. Berries are usually crushed, heated, and then pressed. Heating to around 160 degrees Fahrenheit before pressing boosts the juice's color and yield. But it also dissolves pectin, which can make the juice harder to filter. Creating jelly that meets quality standards is simpler with a refractometer and a few calculations. We start by measuring the fruit sugar content, or soluble solids, in the juice using a refractometer. Next, figure out how much water the jelly will need. As the jelly gets close to the right thickness, it's important to keep an eye on it with a refractometer. This tool helps make sure your jelly turns out just right and meets quality standards. To start, heat the clarified juice quickly, then add pectin as the recipe suggests. Pectin is a staple in jelly and preserves production because it improves consistency. This gives the final product a smooth look and texture. And thanks to pectin, jelly making doesn't need long cooking times. When adding pectin, stir vigorously and add it slowly to the warm juice. Keep the temperature between 170 to 180 degrees Fahrenheit. This range is key. At the boiling point, sugar dissolves faster than pectin. Now, this is a problem because it can lead to stubborn clumps. To avoid this, mix some sugar with the pectin first. Once the pectin is fully dissolved, add the rest of the sugar and bring the mix to a boil. For jelly, refined cane or beet sugar is usually the top choice, but sometimes glucose syrups are mixed in because they're less expensive. They also reduce the need to convert sucrose to invert sugar through boiling. Invert sugar helps prevent crystallization in high solid jellies. Crystallization rarely becomes an issue in products with less than 68% solids, so these ingredients keep the jelly clear and smooth. Boiling is a key step in making jelly. It concentrates the sugar to the level needed for gelling, but avoid overdoing it. Boiling too long can reduce both flavor and color. As it boils, skim off any coagulated material from the surface, so you need to keep stirring to make sure everything heats evenly. Boiling continues until the jelly reaches the right consistency. Traditionally, the sheeting test checks this. If the liquid drops from a spoon like syrup, it's not ready. If it starts to thicken and breaks off the spoon, it's done. While helpful, this method can vary with different juices, so it takes practice. A more accurate way to check is with a refractometer. This device quickly measures sugar levels by how the liquid bends light, showing the sugar percentage or bricks. Just put a drop on the refractometer, point it to the light, and read the scale. This quick check helps keep the boiling on track. In commercial jelly making, vacuum evaporation speeds things up. By lowering the pressure, evaporation happens at cooler temperatures. This keeps more of those tasty natural flavors and vibrant colors. Another technique blends ingredients that already have less water, often using juice concentrates to maintain quality. No matter the method, regular quality checks are crucial. They make sure your jelly has the right consistency and flavor, allowing for quick tweaks to get it right. If there's not enough acid, you could end up with a runny mess that just won't set. To avoid this, check the jelly's pH when it's thick enough to pour. If it's over 3.3, a splash of citric acid can lower it to the sweet spot of 3.1 to 3.2. Citric acid, often from our zesty friend the lemon, is a natural way to balance things out. By adding it at the end of boiling, you keep control over the process. This prevents early gelling and protects the pectin from breaking down. Remember, every juice has its own unique acidity, so how much citric acid you'll need can vary. Adjusting the pH isn't just about making the jelly set, it also amps up the flavor, fine-tunes the setting speed, and controls sugar inversion. This all leads to that smooth texture. Now that our jelly is done, it's time to pack it. For the best preservation, jelly is sealed in airtight glass containers. When you fill those jars with hot jelly, over 180 degrees Fahrenheit, you skip the pasteurization step. The heat does the job of sterilizing the containers all on its own. Machines or factory workers make sure to fill the jars to at least 90% full, leaving about half an inch of headspace. This is crucial for a good seal. After scalding the lids, we place them on loosely at first. This allows any trapped air to escape. The lids are tightened securely after a few minutes to let the steam condense as the jelly cools. This creates a vacuum seal. It's important to note that some jellies might foam during boiling or filling, creating those pesky bubbles in the jars. To prevent this, it's best to skim off the foam just before pouring. If the jelly can be drawn from the bottom of the kettle, it'll reduce the need for skimming and result in a smoother jelly every time. But even with the best preparation, jelly making can sometimes hit a few bumps in the road. One of the most frequent problems is jelly that fails to set properly. This usually happens when there's too much sugar, an imbalance in acid or pectin, or if the cooking temperature is off. Whether you overcook or undercook, either can prevent your jelly from reaching that perfect consistency. A good jelly should be clear and sparkling, but sometimes it might look cloudy or foggy. And that's because of unclarified fruit extracts, immature fruit, or not skimming off the scum during boiling. Plus, too much sugar can lead to crystals forming in the mixture. This would give the jelly a gritty texture. The trick here is to keep a balanced sugar ratio and stir throughout to avoid these unwanted crystals. Another challenge is syneresis, where liquid starts to leak from the jelly. This issue often arises from too much acid, low sugar concentration, or even sugar fermentation. Keeping the pH and sugar levels in check is key to maintaining the jelly's structure. This ultimately reduces the risk of syneresis and gives us a firm, stable final product. So, there you have it. If you're interested in how other everyday food items are made, keep an eye out for other videos on our channel. Until then, thanks for watching.